Don't think the people are going to be too pleased with me after this one, but let's see how it goes. Welcome back to all the goths, gays, theys, and metal fans of all other denominations. Today we are going to be reviewing the 11th studio album from Florida death metal legends, icons, trendsetters, Obituary. If you somehow don't know who Obituary is, they were founded back in 1984. They're a pivotal Florida death metal band that really defined the sound, more of a mid-tempo groovy style of death metal than some of its contemporaries like Death, Cannibal Corpse, and Morbid Angel, and really put out just some iconic records in the early 90s. Slowly We Rot and Cause of Death being some of the most fun and groovy and just real exciting death metal records to come out during that time. After taking a bit of a hiatus in the early 2000s or late 90s, early 2000s, they reformed and have been putting out a couple of really good records as of recent. Despite the age of some of the band members, you could see on their 2017 self-titled album that they still have all the firepower. They can still put out real quality records. So, does this new album, Dying of Everything, hold up? Let's see. Starting with the artwork, I think it's great. I really love the art for this album. I'm not 100% sure if it really fits the vibe of the album, but I do really like this kind of art style, so I'm all about it. I'm going to start off with some of the good things that I really enjoyed about the album, as not to seem too negative, because I do have a number of criticisms about this record. But there are a lot of good things about this record. You know, Obituary just has such a way of writing these super groovy riffs that just you can't help but headbang to. The drum performance is great as ever. When it comes to the vocals, you can really tell that the age is starting to set in. I think some of the highs and some of the emotiveness gets lost. Given John Tardy is as old as he is, you know, this is still a pretty impressive vocal performance, all things considered. I think overall my favorite song on the album is probably the title track, Dying of Everything. There's a couple really killer solos on that song that I really enjoy. Overall, the riffs I think are just the strongest. It has the most intricate and interesting songwriting implemented. Alright, let's get into some of the things that I did not find particularly great about this album. Overall, I really don't think this is an example of Obituary's strongest songwriting, especially compared to the self-titled that came out a couple years back. There's just a lot of moments on this album where I just kept wanting them to end the song, and it would keep going and just I think you could probably cut just a minute off of every song on this album just about, and you'd have a much better record. I think it gets in its own way of being a little bit too long all across the album, and it really is a shame because there's a lot of good in this record and there's a lot of, classic Obituary to be enjoyed, but, you just want them to get on with it.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
And they don't in so many places, and it's really kind of frustrating at times, especially the first three songs I felt were all just very repetitive and kind of lost my attention and really soured my view going on into the rest of the record. I feel like in a lot of places they just kind of pull their punches a little bit too much. It feels like there are moments where they're setting up for a breakdown or setting up for a crazy solo to come in, and it just doesn't deliver in the way that Obituary has in the past. Compositionally as well, everything sounds a little flat and muted. I don't know exactly what it is because it doesn't sound tremendously different than their past couple of records, but it feels like there's just something missing. Like there is just an element of either emotiveness or fluctuation that is missing on this album, and it makes everything just feel a little hollow to me. It's just kind of weird because the last couple albums that they've been putting out did not have this problem, and I don't know if maybe it's a result of the band members are just getting up there in age. They're obviously not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything with this album, but it feels like it lacks a little bit of innovation, a little bit of care and attention to detail in the production of everything. Yeah, it's just like a lot of little things everywhere that really add up over the course of the album and just kind of let me down. One of the tracks on the album, War, I had to make sure just wasn't a Bolt Thrower cover because it just feels like a blatant Bolt Thrower ripoff. It feels like a Bolt Thrower song. It doesn't feel like an Obituary song. It feels like they literally just took something off of For Victory and put it on this record right smack in the middle, and it just doesn't really fit. I don't think it's a not the worst song on the album or anything. It just kind of is out of place. It is a fine album. It's nothing exciting. It doesn't really grab my attention. I think it just kind of lacks anything special. Yeah, just kind of a disappointment to kick off the new year, which is a real shame, but Obituary already has such a defined and incredible legacy. Nothing that they could do at this point could tarnish that. I don't think that this album does anything to hurt their legacy. I just don't think it does anything to really improve it. It feels like the most rudimentary, fundamental, basic material that Obituary could write. If I had to rate this album, because everybody rates albums in their reviews, I would give it a 3.33 out of 6.66. It is right down the middle. It is pretty basic, probably a good introduction to Obituary, all things considered. I think if you are a fan of Obituary and have been for a long time, you'll probably enjoy this record because it's not going to depart from their sound fundamentally. What did you guys think? I would love to hear what you thought of Dying of Everything. Do you think I'm completely wrong? Did you love the record? It seems like a good amount of Obituary fans are really liking it, and good for them. I hope that they can enjoy it, but not really my cup of tea. Yeah, thank you guys for sitting in. Let me know what albums you would like to see reviewed next. I think the next one I'm going to try to tackle will be the new Ahab album. Be on the lookout for that. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more content from me, please be sure to like and subscribe. All right, stay safe, everybody. Be sure to love each other. I'll see you later.